Hello there, it's Jiří again, and this is the Inaccessible Components project focused on web accessibility. In this video, I will show you some issues the inaccessible accordion component might often have. You can also check it online at accessibility.actumdigital.com. Let's get into it. The accordion component contains a stacked list of sections that show and hide related content below. I can click on the item and the section reveals itself. If I click on the item again, the section hides, and I can do this for all items in the accordion. It seems it is working correctly, so what are the issues here? Well, there are quite a few of them. Let's now take a look at each of them together. Issue number 1. Accordion headers are not accessible by keyboard. Keyboard users cannot access the content by tabbing in the accordion because the accordion headers are not focusable. When I refresh the page and press the tab key on a keyboard, my focus should land on the first accordion item. Well, this is not happening, and I have no visual feedback on where my focus actually is. Issue number 2. The accordion is not operational by function keys. Keyboard users should be able to use several function keys for easier navigation between accordion items. Arrow up, arrow down, home, and end keys. Currently, I cannot even tap to the accordion item, so there is no way for me to navigate there by function keys. Issue number 3. The keyboard event for interacting with the component is missing. There is only the mouse down event implemented, which works for mouse users but does not work for keyboard users. Therefore, there is no way for them how to open the accordion item. And again, since I cannot even tap to the accordion item, I cannot use the space or enter keys to toggle the related content. Issue number 4. Contents of accordion items are hidden visually but still discoverable. When the accordion item is closed, its content should not be visible but also not operable. For instance, keyboard users should not be able to tap into the interactive elements inside, and screen reader users should not be able to read the content unless the panel is open. So, when I refresh the page and press the tab key on my keyboard multiple times, my focus lands on some visually hidden place. This can be very confusing for users. What's happening in the background is that the keyboard is actually focusing links inside the hidden accordion contents, because they are hidden only visually by CSS opacity. Let me open all of the items and try again. Now, when I start hitting the tab key, the focus jumps from one link to another. Issue number 5. The usage of the header element is invalid in this case. Inspecting the DOM of the component shows us that the accordion items are made using the header element. There are 2 use cases where the header element should be used. First, to serve as a so-called banner landmark, indicating this is a header for the whole page, which users of assistive technologies use for the page navigation. And there should be just one such header per page. This header should not be wrapped in any other landmark or sectioning element such as main, section, or article elements. The second use case for the header element is to serve not as a landmark but as a part of specific component, indicating this is a header scoped to the component only. This header should be wrapped in a sectioning element such as a section or article. It creates a connection just by being inside of the element. Now, going back to the DOM structure, there are 3 headers in total, but the problem is there is neither a section nor an article element wrapping each of them. For this reason, all 3 headers are considered to be banner landmarks, which is invalid. Read more about the banner landmark and sectioning elements by visiting the links in the video description, or find them in the detail of this issue on the components page. Issue number 6. The accordion has missing ARIA attributes. Although this does not work for all screen readers, it is a good practice to create a relationship between the accordion header and content via ARIA controls and ID attributes to identify which element or elements the widget controls. If we take a look at the DOM structure, this attribute is currently missing. Issue number 7. The usage of ARIA selected true on the header element is invalid. If we take a look at the DOM structure, there is an ARIA selected attribute on the accordion header. This attribute is only valid for grid cell, option, row, and tab rows, and therefore invalid here. You can read more about the ARIA selected attribute by visiting the link in the video description or find it in the detail of this issue on the components page. Issue number 8. Font size is set in pixels. If we take a look at the component CSS styles, the font size of the accordion is set in pixels. When the font size is not set in relative units, such as rem or em, then increasing or decreasing font size settings in the browser will not have any effect. And this is important for users who adjust their font size to their preferences. Let me now open my browser settings. I'm using Chrome. Select Appearance, and in the font size option, switch from the selected medium option to the very large option, because I want fonts on all websites to be very large now. But if I go back to the accordion component, nothing changed. The pixel units set on the accordion do not allow users to benefit from their font size settings, which is not the same as the page zoom. Issue number 9. The accordion has a fixed width. Let me resize my browser viewport to a smaller width. In this case, it is causing overflow issues with a horizontal scrollbar appearing on mobile resolutions, since the accordion is not responsive. Avoid horizontal scrollbars as they negatively affect user experience. Issue number 10. The accordion content has a fixed height. Let me open the last accordion item. Inspecting its CSS styles shows the content has set a fixed height of 80 pixels. This is an anti-pattern, as the content text can overflow and be invisible for users. In fact, when I disabled the fixed height style, another content that was previously invisible appeared. Issue number 11. An order of the accordion header and accordion content is switched via the CSS order property. Let me inspect the accordion item. Although visually the header is above the content, in the DOM it's different. The content comes first and then the header. The reason why this is switched visually is that the content has a CSS property order set to 2, and the header has the order set to 1. While this allows some nice visual layout changes, it might be confusing for sighted keyboard users in general, because the visual order does not follow the logical order, and when tabbing through the page, they could confusingly jump around the layout. Let's make our accordion headers focusable now, just to demonstrate the issue. Ideally, we would use a completely different approach, but just for the sake of a quick demo, let's put a tab index attribute on the header to make it somewhat focusable. Now, when I am tabbing through the component, I would expect my focus to land first on the header and then on the link in the content, because that would follow the visual order. Instead, the focus goes to the links first and then to the header. You can read more about the order issues by visiting the link in the video description or find it in the detail of this issue on the components page. Issue number 12. The arrow SVG icon is invisible in the dark version of a high contrast mode. Let me now turn on the high contrast mode on my system. It basically changes all the colors to the predefined set of colors, or I can also choose my own colors. But I will stick to one of the default dark themes here. So when I go back to the page and refresh it, which is actually necessary for the new styles to be properly applied, I can no longer see the arrow icon indicating the accordion item. While it is not a critical issue in this case, users with the high contrast mode turned on might not realize there is an accordion on the page because they cannot see the icon. Issue number 13. The mouse pointer cursor is over the whole accordion item, including content, but the actual clickable area is much smaller. When I'm moving my mouse around the accordion item, the mouse cursor icon changes to the pointer. That indicates that clicking on this place will trigger some kind of action, mostly used for links, but sometimes on other places too. If I click on the panel with the header text and the icon, the accordion responds to my action. However, if I click outside the text, closer to the border, nothing happens. Also, when I click anywhere in the expanded accordion content, nothing happens. Again, not a critical issue, but users expect to see the pointer cursor to perform an action, and when they click into an empty space, it does not do anything. And that are the all main issues of the inaccessible accordion I wanted to share with you. In addition, I have some considerations for you as well. The usage of certain techniques depend on circumstances. Let's take a look at it. First, consider the usage of a list. Currently, the accordion items are made as div elements. When there are many accordion items, it is useful for screen-reader users to know how many of them there are. When using unordered or ordered lists and list item elements, this is announced automatically. Second, consider the usage of headings. Currently, the accordion headers are made as paragraphs. Headings might be used for accordion items titles instead, when it would make sense for these sections to be a part of the document structure. Third, consider the usage of landmark regions. If the content sections inside accordion items are important subsections of the page, and users of assistive technologies should be able to navigate there directly anywhere from the page, use the landmark role, explicit or implicit, together with the area labeled by attribute. Let's now take a quick look at a more accessible version of this component. Now we have a new hover effect here, so when I mouse over the accordion item, the background color slightly changes, indicating where the clickable area is for sighted users. Also, the click event works for the whole accordion header, but not inside the content. If I press the Tab key and Shift plus Tab key multiple times, the focus follows the visual order, is highlighted by the new outline style, and is not invisibly jumping inside the closed accordion item anymore. I can also use the Enter or Space key to open and close the item, or arrow keys to navigate up and down, and also Home and End keys to navigate to the first and the last item. When I tap through the closed accordion items, my focus no longer jumps inside a link in the hidden content. Font size is now set in rem units. Let me open my browser settings again. I will navigate to Appearance, the font size, and change that from medium to very large again. Now if I go back to the accordion component, its font size increased, reflecting the settings I chose. If I decrease the size of my browser's viewport, the accordion behaves responsively, adjusting its width. We can no longer see the horizontal scroll bar. If I open all accordion items, the content of each of them is fully visible, not restricted by fixed height. Let me now turn on the high contrast mode again. Since the SVG icon now has the color of the value current color, I should be able to see it now. So, when I refresh the page, the icon is now visible. And that was all for this video. We hope you find this approach to web accessibility useful and that it can help you to avoid some common issues. So, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Have a nice day.